Hey everyone, how's it going? All right.
1, 2.
How's it going? All right. So, thank you for being here as always. Today, I'm talking about minor blues, as you can see right there. Make sure that track is off. It is off now. Or else it starts playing while I'm talking. So yes, as always, if you like the channel, I really appreciate that. If you like the channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, all that stuff. All my courses, as usual, are on sale 20% off if you go through my website. All my True Fire courses. I have my Brett Papa course I did with him called Blues Rock Masters, which I'm really loving, and it's been doing really well, so I appreciate everyone who's picked that up. Of course, my background tracks and my record over on Bandcamp. So you can get all that on my website. So I appreciate that. It's going to tune up a little bit here. All right, so minor blues. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. If you go back, I talked about some comping ideas on a minor blues. And this is a bit like ZZ Top just got back from babies. I'm all over the place right now. So, all right. So just got back from babies from, I think it's the first record. It's just this minor blues. Let's just run over the chords first. So I have B minor, oh sorry, C minor, excuse me, oops. Then I'm going to go to F minor, which is my 4 chord. Back to the C minor again, which is my 1. And then the 5 chord, we're just going straight, each 3 chords are minor. So I have an E minor, sorry, a G minor chord here. Sorry guys. F minor and C minor. Now I did something very similar to this lesson for Premier Guitar. If you go over their website, I can put a link to it here too. Just a week or 2 ago they said minor blues for beginners, which honestly this isn't really beginner stuff, but they put beginner stuff, so I do a different groove, but it's the same kind of concept. I want to talk about it more in depth here. All right, so the first thing I could think about playing over this is just C minor pentatonic. And as I've always said before, if you're not really confident in playing over a C minor pentatonic or kind of digging into it, you really want to spend some time doing that, because everything I'm doing is based upon that scale. With added notes in between, right? My 5 chord, 4, but I'm still thinking C minor pentatonic as my main sound. Okay, so my first chord, here's a fun thing that was a nice thing to think about. A C minor 7 chord is C, E flat, G, and B flat, right? So if I put those in alphabetical order, right? Or if I put them in a scale, so I have C, E flat, G, B flat, C, E flat, G, E flat, C. That's a C minor 7 arpeggio. But if we look at a C minor pentatonic scale, which is spelled C, E flat, F, G, B flat, C, E flat, F, G, B flat, C, we find out that a C minor 7 arpeggio is only 1 note less than a C minor pentatonic scale. So we could actually call a C minor pentatonic scale a C minor 11 scale. C minor 11 arpeggio, I should say. Okay, that's kind of getting out there, but my point is, inside your C minor pentatonic scale is a C minor 7 chord. So you want to think about that. Those are going to be your resolution points. Of course, C is always going to work. But so will the E flat as a target. So let's just hear that for a second. I'm just going to kind of sit on that 1 chord for a second. It's going to go around, but I'll point out the E flat is a great sound. And this jam track is on Bandcamp.
1, 2.
So there's E flat. Works on the 4 chord. Right now, E flat on the 4 chord. Of course, I'm not going to just sit like that. Okay, so that E flat's a great choice. It's not the root, but the root works great. Okay, so let's just say you're feeling pretty confident about playing your C minor pentatonic scale over the whole thing. The next chord that we're going to come across is F minor, which is my 4 chord, which is spelled F, A flat, C, or F minor 7, F, A flat, C, E flat. So if all these notes and these names are kind of being a little confusing, that's okay. If you need to catch up on that, that's all right. If you just look at the chord shape, if I look right here, well, The F is in the C minor pentatonic scale, the C is in the C minor pentatonic scale. There's that F again, or if I play the E flat, that's in the C minor pentatonic scale. The one note that is not in the C minor pentatonic scale is the A flat. So I would want to add that in on my 4 chord because that's going to be the change, right? So if I'm thinking my 1, so you hear that chord change, right? Just by adding in the A flat at the right time when my F minor chord comes around, going back to the C minor, you've outlined the sound of the chord change between the 2 chords. So once again, you're playing chord tones. You're playing, I'm thinking about the chord as opposed to the scale. And as I said, and you guys who are here all the time, you know I talk about chord tones all the time. It's super important. But I know it can take a little while to get that all into your fingers. So sometimes you just think about the chord shape, you're really good to go. C minor, F minor. There's a chord change, right? Right? Then. Really kind of simple. So the first thing I would say you should do as you're going through your minor blues, just target one new note. In this case, you want to target the A flat on the 4 chord, because if you start trying to do all the other stuff I'm about to talk about, you might get a little overwhelmed and be like, you know, and kind of flip out a little bit, because it can be a little, it can be a lot to take in if you're not used to doing it. All right, so my 4 chord, my A flat. All right, so here comes my 5 chord. There's a bunch of things we could do. We could simply take the concept I just said, play the chord. I'm going to play those top 3 notes of my G minor triad, which is G, B flat, and D. Back a whole step to my F minor. There's my 3 chords. So let's hear that. All right, so
1, 2.
C minor. Here's my 4 chord, right? Back to 1. And my 5 to play the chord. 4. And if you have to practice it that way, that's a great way to do it, because we're practicing. So I'm using a little musical now. Really blues. Now I'm going to get that 4 chord, A flat. Even just in passing. Now I'm going to get that. Okay, so you see what's going on there? I'm just thinking about the chord shapes. All right, so let's think about something here. Now, a lot of these notes are just contained in the C minor pentatonic scale right off the bat. So let's talk about a classic kind of blues lick, which is this. Played it a bunch of times in the intro. Billy Gibbons special, you know, and everybody else. Now that sounds great on my 1 chord. So my 2 notes, I'm just sliding up from F to G, and I have a B flat. So I have G and B flat. Well, G and B flat are in a C minor 7 chord. C, E flat, G, B flat. And if you look at your G minor chord, G, B flat, D, and F if I want G minor 7, those 2 notes are in the G minor chord. So just even by playing your straight pentatonic scale, you can outline the chords if you do it at the right time. So let's try that. Top, okay. Now this is a clipped passing tone. Now I'm going to get to that A flat. Slide back up. Now you need the same lick on the 5. It's perfect. cool on the 4. 1. Right? So pretty sweet. So I'm just thinking about, those are right out of the scale, right in the chord. All right, so then you may say, well, Jeff, there's notes that you're playing that are outside of the scale. And that is true. So let's talk about that. Special thanks. Okay, Keith, thank you so much. And Vili for the top chat, guys. I see that coming in. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. So let's... and Steve Moore, thank you so much, man. Thank you for the great courses. And thank you so much, Steve. Really appreciate it. Vili, I hope we are all well. Yes, I hope you were healthy as well with your family too. Thank you. And love this next level stuff from Keith at 5 Watt. Keith is the best. Okay, so if we put this all into one scale, you may say, hey, Jeff, a C minor scale contains a 1 minor, 4 minor, and a 5 minor. And you would be right. So C Aeolian does cover all the chords. But I hate sound like that. Hoodly, 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 hoodly. So if I start thinking about a scale like C Aeolian, I start sounding like I'm just playing some scale nonsense. I like to think about the chords, and I like to think about the chords as they weave into the minor pentatonic scale. All right, so now if you had some sharp ears when you were listening, you were like, hey, I heard something kind of cool there. And here's the magic thing that I love. I can borrow from another scale to make it sound more interesting. Let's just say, let me hear this.
1, 2.
Cool sound. Now that note. All right, so some jazz, general jazz understanding. If you're playing over a minor 7th chord, you're going to probably play Dorian. Lots of tunes, like if you have any kind of jazz background, or you don't even need to have too much of a jazz background, songs like So What by Miles Davis. It's 16 bars of a D minor chord, 8 bars of an E flat minor chord, another 8 bars of D minor. So if I have a D minor chord sitting, let's go back to C. If I have a C minor chord sitting for a long time, in Aeolian, in C Aeolian, I have an A flat. That's a pretty poor note to sit on a C chord, right? It's cool in passing, right? You can play through it. And the A flat, you need to play it on the 4 chord because it's contained in the chord. The chord will always override what you think the scale will be. Always play the chord tones, and you'll always be good, okay? So, here's my 1 chord. Oop. Yuck, yuck, yuck. But I can play C Dorian. So people are going like, oh my God, what does this mean? So just think about this. I'm going to play an A natural. I'm going to add in A natural to C minor pentatonic scale. And it gets this really cool, that note becomes really useful and really, really interesting. The more you start doing this, right, like that, it starts to take it out a little bit into a little more, I guess, I don't know, for lack of a better word, jazzy realm, slightly, but I like that sound a lot. So what it also sets me up for doing, and hopefully you guys are all following, so when I go to the 4 chord, it makes the transition to the 4 chord that much more exciting because I played an A natural on my 1 chord, and then I went to an A flat on my 4 chord. So I can develop this cool line. Let's hear what that sounds like.
1, 2.
Do it here because we're a little more time on the 1 chord. Hear that sound? Then my 5. Sorry. Okay, no, I wouldn't always sit on that note all like that, but I'm just trying to get the point across. Now in music, you know, okay, so that's where the magic lives. Okay, so here I have this A natural, which we know is an interesting sound, a very usable sound as opposed to this C, you know, the A flat, don't love it, nobody uses it. If you sit on it, it sounds like a mistake. The other one sounds like a cool note. So you bend your 6, which in the case of the A, up a half step to that B flat, which is part of your C minor chord, right? It's the flatted 7, part of your C minor pentatonic scale. So let's hear that. Quick question right there, St. Kevin. Yes, C dorian is from my B flat major scale. We'll talk about that in a sec, yes. So, check it out. Now watch. Right? Sweet note, right? So cool. There's that A flat. Right? Pretty cool. So you're adding in a natural 6 on the 1 chord. All right, everybody with me? Sound good? Everybody kind of with me? Okay, and we'll break it all down in a minute and answer all the questions. So when I go to my 4 chord, once again, I'm just thinking about the same notes, so I haven't added A flat to my scale. But you may say, hey, Jeff, what about this D note? It's a great sound. Now, interestingly enough, my friends, this D note on the top of the F chord is the natural 6 on the minor chord. Right? So remember I said in any minor chord we can play a Dorian scale. And that's what we can do in the 4 chord. So, let's hear that. Jimmy Page all the way. Learned it from Since I've Been Loving You. First, that intro lick, he does this idea where he outlines changes. So, hear that? I've been loving you, right? And my 5 chord, just play blues. All right. Does that make sense? Okay, now on the 5 chord, we can also do the same stuff. We can outline the 5 chord. G, B flat, D, F, G, B flat, D. Play a G minor 7 arpeggio. Or the beautiful thing is we can ignore it and just play blues over it. It goes by pretty quickly, so it's up to you. So the first thing I would think about is just playing blues over, because we figured out, well, all that's, as long as I hit those chord tones, it's going to sound great. Right there, if I look at that lick, F to G, B flat, C is the chord tone, then I'm sitting in my G. That's basically, I just played 3 notes of my G minor 7 chord. Now I know some people get a little, man, you're throwing all these names and notes. So I do want to stress, it's not a beginner channel. Some people are like, what about people who don't understand this? What I'm trying to express to everybody as best I can is that scales were really cool. They're important to know, but the chord tones and knowing the ins and outs of the chord is everything. If you look at what I'm playing, it's not that difficult. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying like this, I played a long time, that I brought all the subtleties and all those things are difficult, yes. But nailing the chord tones is as simple, if you don't even know the names of the notes fully yet, as just mapping them out, going, okay, C minor, F minor, G minor, C minor. Now my 4 chord, right? The passing notes are from pentatonic. Then 5, 4, 1. If you do that and just do 1 note at a time, mess around pentatonic, see, great, I got that. Target A flat on your 4 chord. Since I've been loving you, like I said, you've got that. Then, you hear that? Bam, 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 bam. Then, Clapton does that lick a lot with Cream. And Robin Ford plays that lick a lot. It's a cool little lick, a little kind of Dorian sounding lick. So, now my 4 chord. So when I looked at Page, I remember first hearing that and I started thinking about, well, what is he doing? I don't know what that sound is. That's really cool. So I learned the solo partly, or I thought I did when I was younger, but I never took the time to take it apart. Because I'm like, is this playing in a minor scale? That's good enough. And so that I didn't take the concept and actually actively use it anywhere else. So the important thing is that you see how the chord changes move and you start working through them that way. Second concept, very simple. On the 1 chord, we can add in the A natural. It goes to the 4 chord, which should be the F minor chord. Then we have to use that A flat again. So this is the only kind of out note. Sounds cooler. Yeah, sorry, yeah. There you go. First chord of Fascination Street by The Cure. Yeah, I love The Cure. All right, so C minor 6. Now, of course, this is only one position to do it in. All right. In 2 of my True Fire courses, I go really in depth on this as well. They are in my Advanced Blues, Essentials Advanced Blues Soloing and Advanced Blues Rhythm Guitar. And they're both, I do a C minor blues on both those. It's a different track, but I do a C minor blues. So those of you who want to check them out, want to get onto my website, 20% off, live 20. The Advanced Blues Soloing and Advanced Blues Rhythm Guitar for Essentials series. And I do the same kind of stuff, and we talk about a lot of the same exact stuff with tabs and tracks and notation and the whole thing like that. Okay, let's get to some questions then. I think that kind of covers a lot, right? It's a lot. Quick, who to listen to? Jimmy Page uses this. Robin Ford uses this a lot. And when you talk about Robin's name, people kind of go like, oh, that's going to be too advanced. But you want to think about, these are sounds. Billy Gibbons uses this. David Gilmour uses this all the time. Shine on You Crazy Diamond is a big old Dorian blues. It's cool. Shine on You Crazy Diamond is a blues, a long form blues. So these sounds, they may seem a little, a little daunting to try to get them on your fingers, but you've heard them a lot. And as soon as you start identifying them with sounds, like as soon as you get used to this sound, you get used to that sound. So yes, oh yeah, thanks Brad. Carlos Santana, well known for using Dorian. What else? Certainly Miles Davis, like So What? Not like anything that's in minor. Rock Bottom by UFO. Michael Schenker, Rock Bottom. Huge, long Dorian jam for you Schenker fans. And he uses that thing, is like, he's doing that sound. Oh, sorry. So Dorian is, it's super common. Think about this. I like to hear the sound too. What is that? It's like jazzy minor. If you hear a jam band jamming for a long time on something that's a bit minor sounding, I bet you, as my mom would say, dollars to donuts, that it is Dorian, almost always. And if they're kind of jamming on something that's a little happier, and that's usually Mixolydian. Allman Brothers, Memory of Elizabeth Reed, Dorian, Blue Sky, Mixolydian, right? So Allman Brothers use it all the time. I think Dreams. Whip and Post, yep, Whip and Post, Dorian. So basically when the Allmans are jamming on something that's a little minor, it's Dorian. If they're jamming on something that's more major, almost always Mixolydian. Generalizations I know, but seem to be fairly true. On my chord tone, nope. On my Solo Explorer course, there's a bunch of Dorian jams in there too. Wicked Game, that great Chris Isaak tune, Dorian. So there's a bunch of examples of it. All right, so let's see if we got some questions. Hopefully this is enough to give you a chew on what you can do in a minor blues. I will repeat one more time. Just target the flat 3 of the 4 chord when you go to that. Add it into your scale, sit on that note, target it for when you go to the 4 chord. That would be the flat 6 of the 1 chord, but it's the flat 3 of the 4 chord. It's right in there. First thing to do. Work on that, and you start getting that sound into your fingers and in your ear. Next thing, play a notes from the G minor chord. There's a bunch of places to play them, but you can start to kind of target them. Right? And you start kind of going through there. The parent scale over everything, C minor pentatonic. All right. Let's see what we got rolling in terms of questions. So once again, thank you for everybody being here. I'll go through the roll call. A bunch of people there today. I wasn't sure because it's a spring break somewhere. Hopefully everywhere is opening up by you. Things are slowly, I got a gig. I got a call to play the Bitter End in New York the end of next month. So trying to put the band together. Sue wants to do it, so that would be cool. A first gig in a year, which should be fairly terrifying because I haven't played out in a year. And playing out is very different than playing in your house or doing a YouTube feed, playing with a real band, Those are different muscles you got to use there. Okay. So, all right, there we go. All right, Christian, Phil Jones, David Cromwell, my knees hurt. S.E. Nesbitt. Don Kinsella, hey, what's up? Gen Set 95. Of course, Phil Mingan, the moderator with the mostest. And Vili, what's up? And of course, Keith from 5 Watt World. Jason Carter. Sergio. Brad Romans, what's up? All right. Stan Stamos, Steve Coleman. I love all these same people. I love everybody comes back. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, let me get to some questions if I can get some. Pendragon, what's up? I haven't seen you in a bit. Or Richard and Sarah. And there's the really good guitar player who's super complimentary. I'm going to butcher your name. YCNIUQ Netdorg. I'm sorry. I don't even know how to put... You post on Instagram. You're always so complimentary. And your playing sounds great on Instagram. So check him out. I'm sorry. I don't know... I don't know how to pronounce your name. I apologize. All right. So let's get to some questions. Jumping down to the bottom here. Matt Gibson. What's going on? All right. Do I plan out these solos in advance? No, they're all improvised. Everything I do in here is completely improvised. For a number of reasons. I plan the concept of what I'll do, and if I have the time, like a few weeks ago, I was taking my mom to get her vaccine. I couldn't warm up at all. I just came on and pressed play. So I like it that way because we just talk about the performance angle. It feels a bit like a gig. I never plan solos out on gigs. That ruins the reason why I got into playing guitar. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, please do if you don't. I just posted a great solo that I learned from David Gilmour from the Final Cut record, the Final Cut solo. And I posted it because I've been having fun with my FM3, my Axe FX, which I'm using right now. And those are composed solos, and I love those as much as improvised solos. And solos like David Gilmour's are a part of the song. Like, that is just as important. You got this epic song, you want to have an epic guitar solo, and he's the king of that. But for me, sitting here like this, no. Now, when people say I'm improvising over stuff that I've played over a bajillion times. So it's not like it's all brand new. Like if somebody said to me, hey man, here's a bunch of chord changes, can you play this on your show today? I would either say no, or I would say, okay, I need a few hours to kind of navigate if there's any difficult spots. So it was all improvised, but let's talk about what improvisation is. It's the old adage, what improvisation is 90% memorization, 5% inspiration, and 5% perspiration, or some sort of variant of that. So everything I've been playing, I've practiced. Are they licks? Some of them are, because I would lie if I didn't say I didn't have my licks. But I don't look at them as licks, like I'm going to play lick A and connect it to lick B. I consider it more vocabulary. Okay, so that's a long, but hopefully that makes sense. So improvising is why I do it. You know what I mean? Like I can't, man, like planning out a blues solo, oof. And it's really kind of funny. Matt Schofield, you guys know Matt's a good friend, and he was talking, there's a guitar player who's pretty well known, there's a big band, and he said he's really into Matt. And so Matt saw him at NAMM, and he invited him up, I'm not going to say his name. He invited him up to jam, and he's like, oh, no. I'd have to compose the guitar solo first. And Matt was like, wow, like, what's a blues jam? He's like, oh, no, I would have to write my solo. So he writes all the solos, so he doesn't have the skill set that improvisers have. That being said, like when Matt or myself, like, the idea of repeating a solo verbatim is very difficult for me. Like, I can talk about what I did, but, B.B. King didn't write his guitar solos, and all my favorite guys didn't really write them on the improv level. Eddie Van Halen wrote his guitar solos. Hey, whatever. All right. That's a lot of talking there. All right, getting to the questions here. Is C-sharp minor pentatonic the same as A major pentatonic? No. Okay, this is from Donald McCoy. A minor pentatonic is the same as C minor pentatonic. You go up a minor third. So the little 3-fret trick is my first finger is A minor root, and my pinky is the major root. So A minor and C major are the same scale. Oh, A flat. I'm sorry. A flat you meant earlier. A flat. It would be, well, C sharp. I saw your little connecting question there. C sharp minor. So it's up. Right. So C sharp minor. Let's put it this way. A flat minor and C sharp major are the same scale. Okay. Would you move in some occasional superimpositions? Sure. This is from BV. Hey, what's going on, BV? How you doing? I would throw in some superimpositions. Maybe in this kind of thing, if I wanted to get a little more out, I might use a leading tone or the B natural, so kind of like a bit of a melodic minor sound. So right, to kind of get a little more of this, just a little more tension. Works on the 5. So it's not harmonic minor, it's melodic minor. So I would use that. Sometimes it's adding that B in there adds a nice little bit of tension without going too far out. The more superimpositions you use, the less it sounds like a certain genre. It sounds a little bit more jazzy. But yeah, I would think about that. An important thing about these superimpositions and things too, it's important that your band follows with you. You know, because you start playing all this out stuff and the band is doing what that track is doing, I would sound like an idiot because the band wouldn't be following. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Because sometimes that stuff really works if the band follows with you. Okay. So melodic minor, C melodic minor. Don't want to get too deep into that, but you know. All right. Questions down here. When you say C dorian, are we coming from the B flat major scale? Yeah, this is from Ken. You would ask this a little earlier. Yes, it is B flat major technically, but all that stuff gets really confusing. Just think of it as adding in an A natural 6 to your pentatonic scale to start off with. You really start to use that sound more quickly. It is technically, yes, the same notes. It's a B flat major scale, but I look at it as it's from the same key as B flat major. It's all the same scale. Except we hear it as B flat, we hear it as C minor because we're playing a C minor chord. It's the chord that will dictate the sound of the scale. Modes can be really confusing until you get, well, like anything. It's really hard until you understand it. Thanks, genius, right? Okay. All right, let me see what we got here. All the people have been teaching something special share in life. Jeff is by far teaching guitar. He has a special ability to translate these great concepts to various levels of players. Thank you, Jeff. Dave Costin, thank you so very much. I mean, I really appreciate it. A lot. Thank you. I really enjoy teaching, and you know, like the best thing to me, like when I was a kid, and I still hope to be this way, it was always a sponge with guitar. Like I couldn't get enough of it. And then I always kind of felt like a lot of people just make it more difficult than it needs to be. And I've had some really good teachers in my life, fortunately, who have made these things much easier. You know, like, hey, if he stops in today, my old guitar teacher, Russ, same kind of thing. He's like, oh man, it's just, you're just adding one, you're just changing one note. Why worry about it? You're just changing one note. So when I started thinking that way, it really started to demystify a lot of things. So it means a lot to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. You kind of hit on this, but the part when you talked about playing the F major instead of the F minor. I'm playing an F major triad on the 1 chord. Yes, this turns out to be like this, you know, like an F major triad with a C in the bass. I'm not even looking at it as an F major triad. I could, for a cool sound. I'm just looking at it as an A natural in my pentatonic scale as opposed to the A flat on the 4 chord. There's so many ways to look at this stuff, so I could look at it as adding in an F major triad on the 1. That's right, that works. Yeah, okay, Richard and Sarah, it's like you're playing a pentatonic of the 2nd or the 5th. Yeah, that works too. I don't want to go all crazy with that. We've done some of that in the past lockdowns, and I do talk about it on my pentatonic deep dive, is how you can do some pentatonic superimpositions, which I could probably just revisit again at some point. But yeah, then we'll be here for another, we've been on for 50 minutes, so that'd be another 50 minutes. Walt, what's up, man? How you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Good to have you here. Yeah. Intro to jazz means you know how to play guitar, not intro to guitar. Yeah, you know, jazz requires a bit more study. Now, don't dumb it down for us. This is gold dust. All right, thanks, Jensen. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's not what I want the channel to be. There's plenty of beginner channels, and I don't want to do that. Any use of half diminished over, this is from Keith, any use of half diminished over the minor blues? okay, I knew you did it. Well, okay, just a quick thing because Keith asked. Is, so you're talking about, there's a few uses of half diminished. One of my favorite ones, this is just a fun one, is I could use C minor 7 flat 5. Now half diminished is a flat, is also called minor 7 flat 5, depends on where you went to college. Berkeley, they called it C minor 7 flat 5. It's a minor 7th chord with a flatted 5th. Not too difficult, right? So C minor 7 is C, E flat, G, B flat, then C minor 7 flat 5 is C, E flat, G flat, B flat. But if you look, a pentatonic, a blues scale, is root, flat 3, 4, flat 5, 5, flat 7, root, 3, flat 3, 4, flat 5, right? So I'm adding in a flat 5. So there's a minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio in your minor pentatonic scale. So check that out. C minor 7 flat 5 over the 1 chord. Now it sounds kind of cool. Add some more tension. I wouldn't sit on it that long. Watch. See what I did there? Pretty hip, right? Yeah, E natural doesn't work. Now we add some tension. So it's diatonic. Well, it's not diatonic, but it's contained within the C minor blues scale. So C minor 7 flat 5 on the 1 chord sounds really nice. And it's kind of like a quick way to take it out, but you're actually not too far out because it's a blue note, right? Okay. So, then you can start superimposing 2 5s. We're not going to talk about that. But on the 1, that works great. Hopefully that works out for you, Keith. And this is from Steve Moore. So just to add missing notes to the pentatonic scale from just the chords. Bingo! That's it. That's all. That's it. You will come up with, wrote them all out, you'd come up with a C Aeolian scale if you wanted to stick strictly to it. But like I said in the beginning, if I'm just playing C Aeolian up and down, it sounds like, it doesn't really, it's just a scale. So I'm thinking, I like the pentatonic idea because I'm playing some blues licks, and then I can start to add that in because I'm comfortable with the blues idea. There's a whole course on this that I've done, and it's one of my favorite True Fire courses called Solo Explorer, where I talk about this concept in depth. All right. Hopefully, can you guys hear my dog is chewing on a bone and keeps on dropping it on a wood floor, and if you can hear that in the background. Dogs don't care what you're doing. Any use of have to mean, okay, we just got that, okay. I read the same thing. Are you essentially mixing, jumped ahead, I'm kind of catching up with these. Sometimes the questions jump, hold on guys. What happened? Oh man, it jumped so far. Okay. Are you sexually mixing the pentatonic from the 2nd and the 5th? So D minor. This is from Richard and Sarah. I could do that, yeah. Yes, and then that would give you a Dorian scale. I don't want to get too deep into that right now just because that's a lengthy discussion. But I'll just give you the answer. If I'm playing C Dorian, I can use the minor pentatonic based upon the 1, the 2, and the 5. That, when you write it out alphabetically, gives you a C Dorian scale. I cannot use that over the 4 and the 5 because you're going to have those clashes. So only on 1 chord can I do that, you know? Annette Tracy, how are you, Annette? Thank you for joining. Nice to see you. Awesome. That's fun. All right. Here we go. The 5 chord, quick, can you show the turnaround or the classic turnaround? Like, okay, yeah, on the 5 chord. Sure. I'm just treating it as a regular 5 minor chord. So I'm just sliding up from F to G and hitting my B flat. So that right back down. So there's my 5 chord right there. It's also part of my 1 chord. Right? Sounds sounds cool on the 4 chord. I mean, Billy does it, so it's in. So yeah. You can bring that down a whole step and it'll work too. Will you be streaming for your gig? I hope so. That's a great question. It's at the bitter end. I talked to them about that today. It'll be 6:30 p.m. New York time. Don't hope that I don't have that date firmed. I have to make sure I got the band because people are a little wary maybe to be gigging yet. So I will let you all know, and hopefully by then they may have a streaming thing set up. So that would be great. And I told them that we could get people to come in on that, hopefully. Okay. Okay, this is Paul Whitaker. So do we play the relative dorian to the chord? Yeah. Yes, you can. You can play the relative dorian to each chord. All right, so check this out. If we're thinking C Aeolian over the whole thing, which would work, it may not be our favorite sound on that one chord. Get your thinking caps on. F Dorian is E flat major, right? C Aeolian is F Dorian and E flat major. They all share the same key signature. So by playing C Aeolian, you're actually playing F Dorian over the 4 chord. And then when you go to the 5 chord, you're playing F, well, what would that be? I'm being an idiot. F Phrygian. So nobody thinks that way because, yeah, because that would be silly. So yes, you could think of a Dorian scale for each chord, and that sounds pretty cool. Kind of hard to fit that in really fast on the 5 chord. I'll be a little tricky with that. I'm a little adept at doing that because the 5 chord goes by pretty quickly. But on the 1 and the 4, use their related Dorian to the 1 chord, and you got it. Oh, your name is spelled backwards. Okay. That just makes sense. I'm an idiot. I got to hold a mirror up. That doesn't mean I can still pronounce it. All right. You plug, this is, I guess, a kind of a gear question, which I'm totally happy to answer. You plug into the audio interface or the monitors. Man, I'm so dumb. Oh, are you asking, for me? Okay, what am I plugging into? I plug, it's a bit involved. I have a UA Apollo interface. One of these days I could probably hook up my webcam and show you guys what's going on, but it's such a mess here. Like, I love talking to my YouTuber friends, like, I've sent pictures of my area to people, like, what you don't see on the floor, like, it's cables. Phil can attest to this. Phil has seen it. There's just junk everywhere. Like, the cable management system is crazy because you've got, all right, I've got my computer, I've got the camera, I've got my monitors, I've got lights, I have power supplies for everything, and then I've got all the power for the computer, and all the lights have wall wart, the boxes on the floor. Then I have my Axe effects on the floor, and the cables coming from that. And then I have the cables running to the, it's a mess. So what you don't see, it's better that you don't see. So what I'm actually doing is I'm running my Axe effects into my Apollo Twin Duo, and that in turn through my speaker, through my computer, is hooked up to my studio monitors, and I monitor everything from there. So I can play iTunes with it or YouTube, and I can jam along with things. So that's been really great. And when I teach people like private lessons online, I use a mic. I usually just use a regular mic, and everything is closed. So what you get, like what you're hearing here, is what you get on a private lesson, as opposed to me yelling through an open microphone in a room or something like that. It takes a while to figure this stuff out. He is. It does take a while to kind of get it sorted, as Phil can attest to. All right. So when you use C Dorian, are you only using it over some of the chords? Ken, I'm only using C Dorian on the C minor chord. Okay? Because the A natural in C Dorian is a terrible note and a completely wrong note on your 4 chord, which is the F minor, because it has an A flat. The chord will always override the scale, let's say, for lack of a better word. We're playing over the harmony. So, you know, when you hit a wrong note on a gig or when you're just jamming, it sounds wrong because you played it over the chord and it doesn't work over the chord that you're playing. Make sense? Okay, so only on the 1 chord. Then I go to F dorian on the 4 chord, and if I want, I can go to G dorian on the 5 chord. But I'm thinking chord tones. That's what I'm always thinking. All that other stuff is things I know I could add in. Chord tones are king. All right. Hey Zita, what's going on? How are you doing? A little late. All right. And thanks for the guys who picked up the merch. Some people got the coffee mugs. And I love the, that was like my first fan art. It was the guy who sent me, drew the picture of me. And he's a great animator. Check him out, Mike Norton. Mike Norton 2000 on Twitter and on Instagram. And he sent it to me because he's a true Fire fan. He's got a bunch of my courses. He's like, here, I made this for you. And I'm like, what? So I thought it was so much fun. And I asked him if I could use it. And he agreed. So that was really cool of him. So. All right. Yeah, Mike, Donald McCoy, you had it backwards. Yeah, it's all right, man. It happens all the time. You're talking about the pentatonic scale with which one's major and minor. Everybody gets that stuff wrong for a while. Do we play the relative dorian? Yes, I just answered that. Sorry. Yes, and BB, yeah, right. I was saying back to BB's point. Yes, the band needs to be aware of how long you've been, like Phil just said, we've been on for an hour. Sorry, what you're jamming over, for sure. All right, jumping down to questions. Okay, this is from Scott Ross. What's up, Scott? Do people play the 2-5-1 chord progression in blues songs? For sure. Yeah, they do. And you can do it in a jazz blues has the 2-5-1 in it. Yeah, I'm not doing that right here. We can get to that at some point. I don't want to do that right now because that would just be another few hours of talking, right? But yes, Scott, you can do that for sure. All right, I want to make sure. There's my dog dropping his bone again. Sorry, sometimes the questions suddenly jump. And I miss where I am. Okay, since you mentioned the Cure earlier, I've been wondering if it'd be possible to play blues over a Cure backing track. I don't have any Cure backing tracks, but first chord of Fascination Street, you know, yeah. Right? Yeah. The blues maybe wouldn't work so well on the Cure. I don't know. A minor 7 flat 5 works. Yes, it does. A minor 7 flat 5 does work because it is the minor 7 flat 5 chord contained in the Dorian scale. Right? All right, pretty cool. That was a bad note. Yeah, A minor 7 flat 5. That works really well. Stephen Moore, thank you so much for the top chat. Thank you. Each one of these streams represents a week's worth of practice for me. Thanks so much for giving me the direction here. Man, you're welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for donating. I appreciate it. Thanks for the endless inspiration. Thanks, Glenn. I appreciate it, man. Good to hear from you. Thank you so much. My dog is practicing percussion in the background. Yes, he is. Yeah. Can you talk about using diminished phrases derived from the parent major scale, E flat in this case? I think, you can use diminished on a minor 7th based upon a 7. I don't really love that. You can use diminished based upon the seventh. I mean, we could do like a diminished triad, but that sounds a bit classical in my mind. Like there's things I prefer more, which would be melodic minor. I would choose that, get a little augmented triad in there before any kind of diminished sound. Because then you're implying harmonic minor. It sounds very harmonic minor to me. And if you check out last week's lesson, you can hear what that sounds like. So I'm sorry if I don't, if I blow over some of these answers. It's because some of these things could be really deep question-wise. And then, got a limited amount of time to do that. And those are all other fields, I should say. Okay. It's funny, Brian Landreth, you just commented, like, it's easy to play the Dorian scale, and then, yeah, basically just play blues and then add in the notes and just start to experiment. That's kind of pretty much, okay. God, I jumped again. It's so annoying. Sorry, guys. Okay. Is the mug's dishwasher safe where the logos go? My understanding from people who had the mug for a little while that fortunately the mug is dishwasher safe. Yeah, because if it's not, I will make sure that that's taken care of because I did ask, and apparently they said yes. Because who wants a mug that you can't put in a dishwasher? That's crazy. Would you use the Yngwie harmonic minor scale over a C minor blues progression and still sound bluesy? Yeah, for a second, you could use it from the 5 to the 1 if you make the 5 a dominant chord. Sure. You can try that. Sure. Try it again. Harmonic minor over the 5 chord. I'm going to make it. It'll work, sure, on the 5 chord. Because what we can do when we make it the 5 chord, we can imply that the 5 chord is a dominant 7 sharp 9 or a dominant 7 chord. Very common in a blues too. You make your 5 chord dominant, resolving to the 1 minor, which would take harmonic minor, as I discussed last week. Good question. Okay. Phil's giving me time check. So when I get to all the questions. Lots of questions pouring in. Or I might maybe I'm just going so slow. I don't know maybe what it is. All right, I think we're good. Okay. So, yeah, I think I hopefully answered all the questions for now. Like I said at the very beginning, just make it really simple. Make it really, really simple on how you add in one note at a time. Think about pentatonic scale. It's going to add in one note from the chord that I want to target. That was the only way that really, really, really found it to make it easy for me. Other than that, I just got overwhelmed by thinking I'm going to change scales or I'm going to play arpeggios. Just see the chord, target one of the notes, and then you start to build upon that. It's the baby steps that get you there, because when you have that, then you add in the next thing, and suddenly you've got all this other information. Diving into going, playing all of your, you should be able to play all your arpeggio. Then G minor. Of course, I can do all that. I mean, because I had to, and you want to be able to eventually be at the point where you can do that stuff. But I don't do that while soloing, maybe for a flourish of something fast, but that just sounds like you're playing arpeggios. So the end goal for arpeggios to me is to be able to get to the point where I can see the notes of the chord. Okay, chord tones take priority over the scale depending on the 4, yep, the 1, 4, the 5, triad arpeggio style. Yes, the chord tones are king when you play them at the right time. Yes, absolutely. All right, well, man, thanks so much for everybody being here today. Really had fun. This one went really quick for me. There's a little shout out, Michael Tuttle, of course, I love this guitar. Man, been a ton of fun getting to know this guitar. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's exactly what I wanted it to be, which is so cool. So people were asking, what's up with the guitar? I just wanted to get something kind of a little bit more like my roots, playing a little more rock stuff, and it's easier to play. This thing, this is the old Gibson. What I love is they're all different tools and they serve different purposes. This is like the greatest sounding guitar that I own. But P90's a little noisy, but it sounds amazing. Love it. So I was going to use that today, and then what happened was, sometimes New York or a little buzzy, and that drives me mental, especially if I'm trying to put something online and teach, and hear going on in the background. But this stuff, the guitar is tons of fun, and I'm using the Axe-Fx 3, the FM3, which has been, very rarely when you make a purchase do you buy something that, not rarely, but it exceeded my expectations. So I love it. And then, of course, people have asked me, when you do your gig, would you be using the Axe-Fx or would you be using your 2-Rock? I'm using the 2-Rock on gigs. But for this kind of thing and for recording and making life easy and getting these great sounds, I'm just really super impressed with the Axe-Fx. I know, once I said I'm supposed to, full disclosure, yes, they gave me a deal on it, but I did pay a significant amount of money for it. And like I said, I'm totally happy with it. I have not tried the Quad Cortex that people are talking about. Have you compared it to that? Haven't tried it at all. Haven't tried the Quad Cortex. I have played through the Line 6 HD, whatever that's called. Sounds great. I think out of the box, I much prefer the sound of the FM3. I think Line 6 makes great stuff for sure, but this is the one that really, for me, kind of comes out. Jim Jack Jones, always learning something from you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the top chat too. Making my playing a bit every time. I really appreciate it. Love the song. Love some Brown Sugar too. Sure. Then my friends all told me. Then something like that. Yeah, it's off the top of my head. Oh man, that first ZZ Top record is the best. This is, the track I'm using is basically Just Got Back from Babies. So the question there from Richard and Sarah. And that track is available on my Bandcamp site. All right, guys, thanks so much. Once again, thank you to Phil for helping out, as always. And Keith Williams for all the help, all the stuff and everything. And everybody else here, once again, all my courses that Phil has been so pushing. I know you guys have been so generous. Anybody who's hit the tip jar, I really appreciate that. Sometimes if I don't get back to you guys in the tip jar, I always appreciate it. It's really, really everything that you guys, helps me do the channel, helps me upgrade everything I'm doing, helps me to continue doing this. So you guys are the best. If you ever want to shoot me a line, just say hi, you can reach me through my website, jeffmcearlain.com. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks.